Okay, so let us do a quick video on how to find the least common multiple or least common denominator of these two fractions. The two fractions I'm talking about right here are the 2/8 and the 3/12. Okay, you might want to look at these denominators and, oh my gosh, they're big. I can't figure out what it would be. Well, we're definitely going to work through that. Hopefully you have a piece of paper and a pencil and or pen so that you can work along with me. Let's begin. So the one thing I want you to remember is that when you are looking for the least common multiple or the least common denominator, you are not doing a T-chart. What I mean is you are not doing this. Oops, that is not straight. You're not doing this. You only do this when you're simplifying. And you're not simplifying right now. You're just trying to find a denominator that can be the same for both of these without changing the value or the amount of your fraction. So in this case, we would actually do what you have learned in class. You would do the lazy T. And that is a T that's just sitting, that's just laying down on its side. It's like it's sleeping, it's being lazy. And this is where you will put your numerator and your denominator. Oops, I'm sorry, let me take that back. This is where you put both of your denominators. Okay, so you put denominator 1, and then you put denominator 2. So here would be your denominator 1, and here would be your denominator 2. So let's put them there. So we're going to put the 8 here, and we're going to put the 12 here. Okay, both of these are denominators. The 8 is a denominator, and the 12 is a denominator. And they go here when we're finding the least common multiple and the least common denominator. And here you're going to count by 8 for this one. You're going to count by 12 for here. That's why it says multiples, because you're going to get the multiples of 8. You're going to get the multiples of 12. If you remember your multiplication tables chart, you can just recite this by skip counting, or if you have a multiplication chart, you can just look at any one of the rows and columns and just write down those numbers. So I'm going to start off with 8, 16. I know that 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3, 24, 8 times 4, 32. See, I'm slowing down just to see if you're able to get this. 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, I'm going to stop there for right now. Now let's start with 12. I know 12 times 1 is 12. Another 12 is 24. Another 12 is 36. Oh, I'm already seeing one that's showing up. It's actually here. 24. And I'm looking at 24 because it's my least one. And it's also my common one. Both of them share it. Both of them have 24. This 24 is going to become my new denominator. So my least common multiple or least common denominator is 24. Now this will be my new denominator. Okay, so right here is my new new denominator, 24. That means that I'm going to change this one to 24. I'm going to change this one to 24. So the first thing I'm going to do is write down my fractions, 2/8. Then I am going to write the fraction bar. So I'm going to write down my next fraction, 3/12. Then I'm going to write my fraction bar. Now, when we first started, we said that we're looking for the least common denominator in these fractions. Technically, we just done that. It's 24. Okay? And there's certain word problems that you can use in order to, there's certain word problems you can use where you have to find the least common multiple or least common denominator to find them. And I will do some videos on that later. But I thought I might take a moment to go ahead and show how we take this least common multiple and least common denominator and replace our fractions. They're still going to stay the same amount, but I'm just making the denominators the same. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and I'm going to think, what number do I have to multiply 8 by to get 24? And then what number do I have to multiply 12 by to get 24? So for 8 to get 24, I have to multiply by 3. And if I can't quite remember, let me go over here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so then let me do that up over here. I'm going to also multiply by 3 here. Now 2 times 3 is what? 6. So now this fraction here is now 6/24. It's still the same amount. It's just changed in the way that we can see it with the denominator being in 24 parts instead of just 8. Okay, so let's look at our one on the bottom. 12 times what will give me 24? Let me think. 12 times 2 will give me 24. And if I really need to look at that, once again, I go over here and I count 1, 2. Okay, now I need to make sure that I also do it to the one at the top. Multiply by 2. And I will end up getting another 6. How interesting is that? So both of them end up being 6/24. Now, of course, this does not always happen. A lot of times they are totally different, so I don't want you to think that this is going to happen all the time, but it does, and that's okay. So I basically have showed you how to find the least common multiple and denominator, and we will look at some word problems where you would need information such as this. And I have also showed you what to do with that denominator, that least common multiple or denominator. It actually becomes your new denominator. So instead of it being 12 parts, it's 24 parts now. Instead of it just being 8 parts, it's 24 parts here too. And as you can see, if you were adding these or subtracting these, you would have to put these values in instead of these. So I hope that helped. Have a good day.